This is Jamie Singer of the American Institute for Research, and we are here today with Marion Baldwin, who will be taking us through some information on how to use data for continuous improvement. So we're really happy to have you with us today. I'm just going to do a quick introduction and then turn it over to Marion. So before I do turn it over, though, I wanted to give a little bit of background information and explanation about our webinar series that we're doing. You can see on this slide that it's part of the Beyond the Bell suite of products, professional development services and products, and it is part of a series that we're offering every other month throughout the year. So this is actually the 5th webinar in the series. And I know I see some people who have been on, I think, for almost, if not all of them, which we're really excited to have you back with us. And some of you, I think, are new names to me or new faces. So definitely encourage you to check out some of the other webinars as well, and I'll let you know how you can do that. But we're excited to have you on with us today. So each of the, each of the webinars features one of the 96 tools in the Beyond the Bell Toolkit. And the tool that we featured today will be available for free download on our website at www.beyondthebell.org. And you do not need to write that down. I'll put that information in the chat. And I'll also send it out afterward to everyone who registered for the webinar. So the tool that is featured today will be available for free download up until the day before our next webinar, which will be in May. We are recording the webinar today, and we've recorded all the previous ones, and they're all posted on our Beyond the Bell YouTube channel. So I'll put the link to that in the chat box as well. If you missed one of the previous webinars on youth development, staff development, social and emotional learning, or summer programming, those are all available to watch on the YouTube channel. And then also be on the lookout afterward that we'll be sending out a survey after this webinar. We would love to hear from you. What worked well, what could be improved, and we'll be offering one more webinar after this one. So definitely let us know how we could improve for that one, and we hope that you'll join us for that one as well. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Marion, and I'll be keeping an eye on the chat box if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Jamie, and welcome to everyone joining us for this webinar on using data for continuous improvement on your programs. Today's presentation will focus on program quality, how to use data for improvement, and how you, your staff, and program stakeholders can develop a culture of continuous improvement using data to understand how your program is really doing and whether you're on target to achieve program goals and what improvements can be made to keep you on track for success. As you all know, after school is not just fun and games. It's hard work, and quality programs result from careful planning and strong vision. These programs start off by engaging all stakeholder groups, including school and program staff and leaders, community partners, families, and yes, let's not forget the students, to develop a vision for the after-school program that everyone supports. Then together, program staff, stakeholders, and partners plan, make decisions, and organize the work to achieve the program vision. The vision depicts the big picture of what will be in the future when the vision becomes reality. And an example of this is the vision for the National 21st Century Community Learning Centers program, which is soaring beyond expectations. This vision was crafted in 1998 and has guided the hard work of thousands of after-school practitioners and program partners and has yielded some incredible results along the way, including increased social skills and significant gains in the academic achievement of program participants, as well as the expansion of after-school program availability in cities and towns across rural and urban America. Prior to 1998, after-school programs such as the ones you're creating and implementing were not widely available, or they were not accessible, were unaffordable, or they just did not exist. The vision that is created by these programs is supported by its program goals that provide broad descriptions of how the vision will be achieved. Goals are then translated into objectives, or what Beyond the Bell calls action steps. And these are actually the activities that are implemented by your programs to achieve specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-specific outcomes that we all know as SMART outcomes. You might be saying right now, well, Marion, this is all well and good in theory, but what if I inherited this program? The goals for me were already set. What then? That's when you do a reality check. And by that, I mean, can your stakeholders articulate the program vision? Are the goals and steps currently in place aligned with that vision? One reason that this is a continuous process is because things often change and adjustments are sometimes required, as we all know. By routinely looking at where you are and what must happen to get where it is that you want to be, you have a better chance of achieving your goals and realizing your program vision when you use data to keep checking. That's where the data comes in. We regularly gather information in our programs. We keep track of participants' attendance, the activities that they participate in, which ones they like the most. We gather data about student grades, performance, behavior, family and community perceptions of the program, and feedback about participant satisfaction. All of this data provides us with valuable information that can be used to determine if we're on the right track, what we're doing well, and what might need to change in order to achieve results. Continuous quality improvement then, and continuous program quality in a nutshell, is constantly seeking to do a good job today and an even better one tomorrow. When we are striving for high quality, we'll want to employ best practices and strategies in all of the areas depicted here on the screen. And the Beyond the Bell Toolkit offers resources and strategies in each of these areas. In the area of management, key takeaways are that staff is your biggest asset, and communication is essential to effective program operation. Regarding program design, you'll want to focus on intentionality. What is your program's vision, and what will be different as a result of your program? And is your program structured to support the goals and the vision and the goals that it sets forth? When it comes to partnerships and collaboration, the focus is on creating lasting relationships with program and school staff and leaders, families, and community partners. Relationships that are established on a foundation of trust, and a primary focus on student learning, growth, and development. Remember, there is no statute of limitations on collaboration. And high-quality programs recognize that they can accomplish more by collaborating with their partners than they can alone. Program delivery then takes into account elements of how the program functions and is concerned with the alignment of the program plan and the program activities with the program's goals and intended outcomes. And for our brief time together today, we're going to concentrate on evaluation, which looks at the collection and use of data, and program improvement, which involves a continuous cycle of inquiry and reflection on all of the program elements that I've just described. Following this webinar, as Jamie has already shared, you will have access to Beyond the Bell tool number 96. This tool is designed to help you reflect on all of the program areas that I've just described, and the tool provides questions and issues for your consideration as you develop and sustain a cycle of continuous improvement for your program. As Jamie shared, she will give you information in the chat box and also after the webinar for you to be able to access this. And I believe I heard her say that it'll be available until the next webinar, which is in May. So when we talk about continuous quality improvement, there are really three main points in this cycle. And they are to develop programs with sound processes, programs that are intentionally designed to meet the objectives of your vision and goals, and that are implemented with quality practices. So there's consistency from day to day in the programming. Students know, and families know, and staff and stakeholders know and come to expect a level of quality with the program that is evident every time they set foot in the door. And then, perhaps most important, we evaluate the implementation of the program and use data to continually develop the program. And by that, I mean to continually get better. So when we think about this cycle of continuous improvement, it can be described in just a few words: plan, do, reflect, revise. Or, as you see in our circle there, develop, implement, evaluate, and improve. And this is the cycle that we go through consistently to ensure that our programs are of high quality. One of the it's not very recent now, but having been someone that started as a grantee in 1998, one of the things that across the nation now are available are quality standards for after school. And most all states have now, or many of the states, I should say, have now adopted quality standards for after school. And if you're not in touch with the statewide network in your state, please do check in with them, because there are places where you can access standards for your state that have been decided by a group of stakeholders as being of high quality for after school in your state. When it comes to evaluation and data, it's important to know that these are not the same. Evaluation seeks to explain what does work, what does not work, and whether the program has achieved its goals. As is shown on the slide, formative data assesses how we're doing, while summative data measures our effectiveness. Both data are very important to collect. As I mentioned, formative data helps us in these ways. It helps us to more effectively manage programs, to make best use of scarce resources, to fulfill accountability and contractual requirements, make decisions regarding program quality, which is what we'll focus on most. And it helps us to target program recruitment so that students who are in most need of the programs that we're offering are actually receiving those services. And it helps us to identify needed services, which in some cases are offered by external providers. Formative data can also be used to ask questions, and should be used to ask questions, measure performance, solve problems, develop strategy, coordinate with programs across multiple sites, and make decisions. And summative data then can help, especially when we're advocating for funding, as they can provide proof of the program's success toward meeting its goals. When we look at what data tells us, one of the examples that came to my mind was during a site visit at a program where students had signed up for the program, but they didn't show up for the program. This was in a middle school program. And the transition from the school day to the after school program just wasn't happening, at least not with all of the students that had signed up. So what they did, having tracked their attendance data and having talked with various stakeholders, including teachers, students themselves, and families, and also program providers, external program providers, was to formalize a process of ensuring that students made it to the program. The teachers supported those transitions in some cases by just posting up in the hallway and making certain that students that did not have a designated place to be were either leaving the school as they should have done at the end of day, or that they were moving along to whatever activity it was, with one of those activities being the after school program. Data can help us to improve program quality by identifying gaps in what our programs offer and what program participants need. It also helps us to improve by providing insight about program offerings that will engage youth in the program. And what I mean by that is oftentimes we build the Cadillac of programs and we do not understand why the kids aren't coming in droves. In some cases, it may be that we have skipped the step of asking the students what they're interested in. And in other cases, it might be that we don't have the right staff, or that the time when the activity is offered, students are coming in hungry, and that would be a better time for them to have a snack or just a respite from the school day. So all of that can be provided to us through data. And it also offers for us evidence of progress, which help to assess youth outcomes and the impact of the program. When we're talking about using data, we want to use it to identify gaps in staff knowledge and to inform professional development offerings. Most staff are willing to do, they're there because they like working with students and they want to do a good job. But until you know how to do things, it's not easy to do them well. And that's one of the ways that data can help us in identifying whether or not we need to make adjustments to the program to provide professional development to the staff in order to make the program better day to day. We also use program data to communicate the strengths of the program and to continually make a case for the need for after school and the return on investment that after school provides. I believe there's a statistic for every $1,000 that we spend in after school, students' math and literacy scores are improved. And it would take $1,000, I'm sorry I said that wrong, to get the kinds of gains that we get from after school for far less. It also helps us to build long-term success for the program. As you develop relationships with your community members and partners, word gets out. As we used to say, don't be the best kept secret in town, because these programs are needed and students will come and the community will support them if they know the good work that you're doing. So there's a process that we have to go through, and sometimes staff are not all that enamored to do this, and that is to collect data. So one of the things that we did was look at, creating appropriate conditions for data collection. Some of the things that are easy to do, but maybe missteps. When you enroll students in your program, get permission at that time to be able to access school records, as opposed to having to go back and ask for that information later. Ensure that requests for information are in the languages understandable for respondents. So if you have people that speak a language other than English, be sure that all the materials that you provide to them are in the language that they are in, a language that they understand. And be sure when you are enrolling students to explain to their parents that data are only used for programming. No way are you trying to track students. When we are collecting data, it's important to collect it the same way each time. And if you can use existing tested surveys, that's bodes in your favor. You want to only collect what you need. If you already have information, don't make them supply that to you yet again. And if you can, and as often as you can, collect all of the information at one time. Another good process or practice for collecting data is to protect the student data by assigning each student an ID number. That way there's little concern for loss of the data. When we talk about exploring and making sense of data, the thing that we know is that data must be meaningful before it can be used. So you need to share your data and evaluation findings with your staff, with your stakeholders, and make sure that it is in a format that's easily understandable. And now we have so many different online websites that can support you in developing high quality data exhibits, that it's really important to invest that time and make sure that you create something that is user friendly and easily understandable. You want to always make time for reflection. You want to think about deeply what the program is providing, whether or not it's meeting the needs, and if not, what you can do to turn that corner and get back on the right track so that at the end of the program cycle, you have accomplished your vision, or you are well on the way to accomplishing that vision. And when sharing data, be sure to have all of the data that you need before you start talking about it. I'm sure that some of you all have gone to meetings before, and someone starts out talking about something, and a key piece of information that they wanted to share with you, they don't have that with them, and that just frustrates your audience. So you want to be sure that you have all of that data, and then you want to engage all of the stakeholders in not only reviewing the data, but in helping you to plan for program improvement. This helps to broker and sustain relationships with all of your stakeholders, and that's one of the key elements of sustainability for any after-school program. So when we're creating a culture of continuous improvement, we know that staff is our biggest asset, and we want to provide opportunities for staff to reflect on their practice and to build their knowledge and skills. This is going to be critical to program success. So you always want to provide professional development opportunities. You want to observe what your staff are doing, and then have opportunities for them to learn, and when you can, to provide one-on-one coaching. And that might not be you that provides that coaching. It can be peer-to-peer, or in some cases, when it's necessary, you might bring in external providers. But continuous learning is part of this process of continuous improvement. And when we talk about ongoing attention to quality, it's a requirement. It's a requirement to consistently produce positive results. We know that if you, your staff, and your stakeholders build reflection into and evaluation into all aspects of your program, then your program just gets better and better and better. So take the opportunity, if it's for 5 minutes, 15 minutes during staff meetings, be sure that you're talking about the data that you've collected and information about your program at your advisory board meetings, your partner meetings, and daily in your practice. Make this part of it. Intentional programming, delivery tied to specific youth characteristics and desired outcomes that provide a balanced menu of activities that meet program goals, engage youth and their families as partners, and draw on community resources is a primary goal, or should be, of every after-school program. And where does it all begin? It begins with leadership. When you have leaders that are excited about an ongoing process of improvement, that want to make certain that day to day they're doing their best this day and even better tomorrow, that catches fire with the rest of the staff. You should share your evaluation results, as I've already stated, with staff, partners, funders, and participants. And most important, continue to ask the questions: what's working, what's not, and why? Data collection and analysis are essential to creating this process of continuous improvement. You want to keep all stakeholders always informed about the process of change. Anything that you do, your stakeholders should know about it in as timely a fashion as possible. Don't let them find out, otherwise that's frustrating. And always, always, always focus on the big picture, which is to learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow. Thank you for joining me today, and I'm going to turn this back over now to Jamie.
Thanks so much, Marion. That was a lot of really great information. Hopefully everyone was able to stick with us through that. And I know these webinars don't provide a lot of opportunity for interaction, which is what we usually like to do. These are supposed to be short snippets of information that hopefully you can take back to your programs, and also definitely download the tool that is available to you and use it. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to Marion or to me. And I will be sending a follow-up note afterward via the Eventbrite page with links, all the links that I shared in the chat, plus a link to the survey where we will request your feedback. So I will go ahead and end it. I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of your day, and would love to hear from anyone after the webinar if you have questions or comments. Thanks so much. Bye, everyone.